if you can, like, let me know if you can see my request. Hello, hello.
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
Hey, Rustin, I don't see you at the moment.
There we go.
Yes, nice to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming live with me. It means a lot to me, and I know that, like, just checking the connection. So I know that, like, this is an issue that a lot of people are dealing with. I personally dealt with narcissistic people, so it's really hit close to me. And just saying, anyone who is online, so I already have got my textbook ready, just like a good student. So anyone is encouraged to kind of join us and to take notes, because hopefully we're gonna give some good guides, and so just basically some good guidelines to anyone, because like I feel like that this is such a topic that we don't really talk about enough, and especially in big cities or like North America, like you just have to get used to dealing with all sorts of people, especially in love relationship.
Yeah, today it seems to be a big issue in a lot of different areas with a lot of different people. And I think a lot of people don't know how to navigate or haven't come across a narcissist before. So you're not really prepared to recognize the red flags, the patterns, the different things that go along with these types of people.
Yes, amazing. So before we start with, just quickly want to ask anyone who has joined here if the connection is good, if you guys can hear us, can see us well, if you can give some feedback before we jump in. Can anyone hear us well?
Can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah, I think so. So otherwise, yeah, I think, yeah. So yeah, let's start. And basically after that, yeah, anyone is feel free to ask any question. So Rustin, my first question for you would be to tell us a little bit about, so yes, amazing. We are getting some feedback. Thank you so much. So my first question would be that tell us a little bit about yourself, like how you get into this topic, basically what inspired you to kind of like, I remember you said to me that you dig deeper into like attachment style, different kind of attachment style, trauma responses, dealing with narcissistic people, and in response to, have you ever dated with a narcissistic person, and what's your experience with them?
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Rustin. I'm an energetic healer, and I was subject to narcissistic abuse with a narcissist. So, I'm the type of person that when stuff happens to me and I don't really fully understand it, I tend to overthink it. But I also dive in and start researching. I want to educate myself of what happened, why it happened, what my part was in it as well, and how I let this happen so it doesn't ever happen again. And then I can help share that with others so they don't get subject to the same type of abuse. So I did come across about 4 years ago a narcissist woman. We met on a dating site. We hit it off. We met for just a quick coffee. That went really, really well. Then we met for another actual formal date. We went out on a date. We ended up hooking up on the first date, but everything went super smooth. She was very easygoing, very charming, very happy, very just everything you look for in a partner. So I was excited. I kind of fell a little bit head over heels, not within the first date, but it didn't take very long because she seemed like the perfect woman. She just was fun. She liked things I liked. She was always open and down to do whatever I wanted to go do. Very submissive. Just everything that us men would tend to look for in a woman. So
where are you based, Rustin? Sorry, so just for the listeners, where are you based?
Sorry, where am I based?
Yes.
I'm in Barrie, Ontario, which is about an hour north of Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Yeah, so.
Yes, so you have been dealing with a Canadian woman, I assume.
Yes, actually, this woman was, as much as she's Canadian, she was originally from Mexico. She was Latina. So, my first time dating a Latina, actually. But like I said, the relationship, we got into a relationship a few months in. Everything was going great. We met each other's kids, everything like that. Everything was just fantastic. It was bliss. It was perfect. And I guess maybe this is where I should have opened my eyes a little bit. It was a little too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, as the saying goes, sometimes it's too good to be true, right? So you gotta kind of pay attention a little bit. But it wasn't shortly after we got in a relationship that some of the abuse started. So she would start to make little insults, little jabs at you, and see how you react. So see, are you going to stand up for yourself? Are you going to allow it to happen? They kind of test the waters. They tend to try to learn your insecurities so that later on down the road they can exploit them. So that's what she was doing in the beginning, was gauging me, trying to figure out where my insecurities were, how she could manipulate. So I got a little too deep, too relationship focused, and kind of lost myself in it all. These were all like really good learning experiences for me, after the fact. But the abuse started a little more, a little more. She was doing things like entertaining other guys' attention. I would have talks with her about it. She would start gaslighting. She would start flipping it around like it was my fault, or she wasn't doing anything wrong. I even at times even watched her manipulate her own children through guilt, through stuff to get what she wanted from them. So I started seeing things, but at that time I wasn't educated. So I wasn't really, I was ignoring the red flags. I was just so head over heels infatuated with this woman that I was allowing those things to slide, which in turn burned me in the end. She ended up going away on a trip for a funeral, came back, basically told me that she had been talking to her ex. She wanted to go back with her ex, but she wanted to keep me in the picture too. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. And there was things that she had said to me when I picked her up from the airport when she came back, that just kind of did it for me, where it just really crushed my heart. It was hard to hear, but she had said things to me like, I'm willing to lose you and your son over getting my ex back. Just, all
Yeah.
types of like,
These are all major red flags, right? So when basically someone is entertaining of going back to her ex, yeah, these are
yeah.
all red flags. Yes.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah. So how long you guys dated on and off? Like how long was this period with this woman?
It was a shorter period. It was 7 months in total.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it felt and how fast we kind of fell for each other, well, I thought she fell for me. It just seemed perfect. So I didn't really care about the speed.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't too cautious. I was just letting things flow. And things went a little bit too fast, and I got a little bit too involved too quickly. And yeah, so it was a short period. It wasn't years, which unfortunately a lot of people deal with this for years. I got out very quickly. Once I started to see certain things happen, I said, I can't do this. I can't participate and take part. I'm not going to be second choice. I'm not going to be sitting around while she gets to run around and do whatever she wants. So I left her. I left the relationship.
Yeah, and probably like, yeah, you did very right. And I know that like for guys, because of your, like you have a stronger sense of ego. I mean, guys, they also tend to get abused, but I feel like that just the men, they are able to get over of this, like, yeah, or as you said, that after you realize that, I feel like with women that it just kind of sometimes take longer because they keep going back to this pattern like all over and yeah, or this could be actually a personality style. And actually, you said something too, like which I want to point out to other people. So you talk about the jabbing and you talk about the gaslighting. And based on my research, I wasn't fully digged into the topic well, but so far what I was basically reading, it always starts with a very strong like chemistry. It always starts with a very strong like sexual attraction. You just feel like this very intense, like you are just basically sexually so attracted to this person. That's why it's really hard to recognize, right? Because it just
Yeah.
feels like this person is meant for you because it's just so intense, right? So that's why usually people tend to go too deep very quickly because just the attraction is very strong. And based on my experience, so basically what the person does is very quickly they take you up on a pedestal, right? So you are this like perfect individual, perfect inside, perfect outside. So they put you to the pedestal. And once, you know, because it feels good, right? It feels great, the attention, it feels great when someone is like complimenting you. It feels great when somebody is like calling you like as this perfect individual. And after it starts like slowly, once they have you, after they start like doing great. And do you think that narcissistic people, they realize that they have got a personality disorder, or they do not?
Oh, I'm losing connection a little bit here. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
I think some narcissistic people realize what they're doing, and I think other ones don't because it's such an ingrained subconscious survival tool that they have. This is where a lot of narcissism comes from, is as children usually they were neglected, they were never paid attention to. This is why kids will color on walls and do bad stuff, is to get that attention because parents are not paying attention. So I think some realize that they have a problem, but they will never admit it because they run strictly from ego. They've developed almost a second personality of pure ego that needs to constantly be fed with attention, adoration. This is why you become supply. You're not important to them. They don't really care about you. They care about what you're going to give them. And I'm not always talking about financial. I'm talking about emotional and putting them on pedestals, making them feel like they're top of the world because really they feel very small. As much as they can cover it up very well, narcissists are master manipulators. You will never out manipulate them because they've used this all their life for survival. So I think some realize, some don't. I think what comes down to is you typically have two different types of narcissist. You have overt, which are very loud, arrogant, got to be the center of attention. And then you got very covert, which come across as very quiet, sweet. Those I find are the ones you got to watch out for more because they're the ones that can really suck you in and manipulate you.
What was the first one? Sorry, what did you say? What was the first one?
Overt.
Overt?
Overt.
And covert.
And covert. Yeah,
Covert.
so overts are very like if you're out at a function, they're the kind that are like got to be the center of attention. They talk loud, they laugh loud, they need attention all the time. So they're very arrogant too. So like it comes across as like you think confidence, but it's arrogance. A covert is very much the opposite. They come across as like quiet and sweet and charming and innocent. So those are the ones, that's what I got subject to. I think that's how I got sucked in. I mean, this woman was very beautiful. She was very cute. She was charming. She was successful. She seemed like she had everything in her life going for her. But a lot of it is just show. A lot of it is just, they cover up who they really are. Because they'll never get supply if people figure out who they are. So they have to manipulate and trick you in order to get that supply from you.
So when you say supply, do you mean like energy? So basically they are lacking the ability to kind of like get energy from themselves. So basically they are using other people's attention and like the validation to make themselves like energized or make themselves like worthy.
Yeah, they're energy vampires. They will drain you. You'll notice after being around them for a while too that you feel very tired, drained, emotionally, physically. They feed off your energy. It's like they need it. That's why I've always called them energy vampires because they will just take and take and take and take until you have nothing left. And then what they'll do is go into discard. They will discard you and replace you with a new supply. So that's what I mean. They don't care about you as a person and your emotions and your feelings and things like that. They only care about getting that supply of energy from you.
So it's always just about them, like, it's always about their own needs. It's always about them.
It's only about them. They pretend in the beginning that a lot of it's about you. They will research, they will adapt. Actually, they will adapt and take up your hobbies. So like I go to the gym a lot. My ex started coming to the gym with me. She started caring about everything that I did, all my hobbies, started taking part in everything. They literally research you to adapt to make you think that they're perfect for you. But there's patterns to them. So they go into the like first is love bombing, right? So they will
Mhm.
adore you, they will give you compliments galore, and you're the sexiest person I've ever seen, or just things like that to really kind of so you let your guard down. And then they'll go into like the love bombing to adoration. They adapt to your interests, and then once they feel like they've got you hooked, that's when the abuse starts. They feel like you're not going anywhere. You love me. I got you hooked. You need me. And they will start then throwing out the abuse. And the abuse can go in all different forms. I mean, they can drain your money. They're very selfish. They're very selfish, self-centered. They don't understand. They don't have empathy. They lack empathy. They can't empathize with other people. It's all about them. They're very selfish.
Yes, and one of the experience that I was like having or experiencing is that they tell you exactly what you want to hear. So they know your desires, right? So for example,
Yeah.
in my case, I was opening up about having a family, having my own family, and they tell you exactly what you want to hear, right? Because like
Yeah.
they know what is your deepest desire, or they know what you want, and they give you this experience, they give you this like, so they pretend that they want to give you, basically they know exactly what your deepest desire is. Yes.
Absolutely.
And Rustin, when you like basically voice to this woman that like when you find out like she's like having contact with the ex, like did she say something, did she try to defend herself, or did she like attack back, or what happened?
She a lot of times she would do is say, "Well, you can trust me, and there's nothing going on," and kind of like almost tell you without saying anything that there is something going on. There was comments I would see, it was open on her social media, where she would have certain guys, and they would be like, "Oh wow, your smile, you're so beautiful," da da da, and she would entertain it. And I would always say, like, "Why do you do that?" Why do you entertain other people? Like, you got me and I adore you. I give you enough compliments. I give you enough everything you should really need. But it's never enough for them. It doesn't matter how much you could tell them they're the most beautiful woman 100 times a day, and they
Mhm.
still need attention. You'll never ever keep up with how much they need because there's no end to it. Because it never makes them feel good. They really feel very horrible inside, and they need that constantly. So once you've kind of worn off on them, and those compliments aren't doing any effect for them anymore, they start searching for new supply. So they do a little bit of what's called monkey branching. So they will hold on to you while they're looking for somebody else.
Yes, one thing that I read about that they constantly need like attention from multiple people. So one person is not enough for them. So they really
Yeah.
enjoy having this like kind of attention and like validation from multiple women, or like multiple men in your case. Amazing. So yeah, I'm just checking the time right now, because I think we also covered basically the common traits, because that would have been my second question. So my next question would be quickly that which advice would you give to anyone dealing with already with a narcissistic person?
The best advice is get out of there. Get out as best you can. Like, I know some people are married, they have kids, there's got other things there that it's not so easy to just pick up and leave, but you got to get out as soon as possible because these people will destroy you. They will drag you down, to the depths of hell with them. They don't care about you. And the abuse will only get worse and worse and worse and worse as time goes on, which is going to affect your self-esteem. It's going to affect everything about you. Your energy, like they literally will destroy who you are. So that's the only advice is you got to get out. You can't fix them. You can't help them. Nothing you can do is going to change them. So don't think that anything you do is actually going to help or change things or anything. They will tell you what you want to hear. After abuse, they'll come back with more love bombing to hold you where you are and pull you back in. They hook you, right? So like a fishing hook. They hook you, reel you back in, and they keep doing that, throwing, casting you out, pulling you in, casting you out, pulling you in. Each time they do it, that abuse gets worse, and as actually has more effect on you, does more damage to you. That's the only advice: is you got to get out. Do not play the game. You can't out manipulate them. They, like I said, they've done this all their lives. They're masters at it. So the best thing you can do is leave, and it actually hurts them. It drives them crazy that you pick up and leave and have the strength to walk away from them. They think that they have you, and when you can walk up and walk away, it drives them crazy. But beware, because they will try to come back. They will try to come back into your life and hook you again at some point.
So basically, once you recognize the red flags, or even when you have an intuition and you just feel that, okay, I feel like this person is like an egoistic, narcissistic person. So just the feeling or the gut feeling, it's enough to, like, even if like you don't know all the common traits, it's enough basically if you recognize that, or at least one of the red flags.
Well, I would say if things seem to be too good to be true, listen to that. I'm not saying leave the person, but start to pay attention. Start looking for a little bit of the red flags and the things that kind of, make that intuition buzz and go, something's not right here. You got to listen to that. When you get so infatuated with somebody and forget those things and you ignore those red flags, there's no good outcome for you. Like that's why your intuition's there, is to guide you away from people like this. But you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention.
Just checking your cat in the background.
Yeah, I got two of them. They're all over the place.
Thank you so much, Rustin. And once you basically had the courage and basically just said that I'm done, it's enough, did the woman try to get back to you, or did she try to like basically get your attention again or manipulate back to you?
Yes, when I essentially broke up with her, she would contact me daily, text messages, just kind of reach out and hey, and stuff. Never really tried right away to get back with me, but always wanted to keep me at an arm's length. Always wanted to keep me around. So I kept distancing myself more and more. And at that time too, I was really broken. Every time I talked to her, it only made things worse for me. So I hadn't healed from it yet. I hadn't learned about all the narcissist and the personality disorders, attachment styles. Like that's the best thing people can do, is educate yourself. Learn about different personality, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. Learn about attachment styles, especially your own. It's going to benefit you when you learn your own. It's not always about other people. In the beginning, which was, not all blame falls on her, because I was very codependent. I was very anxious attachment style, codependent. So that's why I got attached so quick. I thought, oh my God, this woman loves me and she's into me. This is what I want. And I kind of like fell into it too fast. But yeah, it's just educate yourself. It's the best thing you can do, because once you're aware of the red flags and you're aware of those things, you can start to, you'll recognize them without looking for them. Your little spidey sense or your radar will go off and go, oh, something's not right with this one. And you'll be able to protect yourself.
Yes, this attachment style is so amazing. And yes, so I also dived into that. And me too, I belong to the anxious attachment person.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for pointing that out. Yeah, I have actually had the same experience, that I get really like quickly, yes, hooked to this person. So just looking the time. So let's say my final question would be that, what do you think would a narcissistic person can teach you about yourself? What can they teach about yourself?
Well, if you're willing to look at yourself in the mirror, which needs to be in a relationship, you have to look at, like I was just mentioning, attachment styles. You got to look at how you fell into this and how you got sucked into this, and fix that. So when it comes to attachment styles, I used to be very anxious attachment style, but I'm more secure now. And you can be combinations of more than one, but there's always a dominant one. But I'm more secure now. I've recognized, I think I've possibly come across others as I've started dating, and I've been able to recognize those red flags and just avoid them right away. Or if you set your boundaries, that's another thing, is people have to learn to set boundaries and be confident enough to say, here's my line, do not cross it. They will run away from you if you're able to set boundaries. They realize that you're not the type of person that can be manipulated, that you're stronger. They look for very empathic people that really don't have a set of boundaries. They kind of let things go on. They care too much. They They let this abuse happen. So that's the type of people they're looking for. You have to get yourself in a place where you're confident. You got to learn to love yourself. That's what you'll learn most about them is it's not the love from other people. You love yourself first and you'll attract the right people. Ever since then, I've never dealt with any type of toxic person again. And if I do, I exit very quickly. I won't allow it to happen again.
Because you already know, like you already know what's the red flags there. And yeah, so thank you so much for pointing out these like boundaries, because I think that like the biggest thing that any toxic person and any like narcissistic person can teach you is basically to have a strong, like healthy boundaries around you. Like if there was something I could take out from that is to have like a really strong set of boundaries. Like I actually looked into that, like once you are dealing with a narcissistic person, and we are talking about now love relationship, but there are sometimes like family members, right? Like you cannot avoid. And for example, there are these amazing lines that you can use. For example, like I have done this recently, like the person was trying to tell me like what like basically a piece of shit I am. I just thought basically I replied back to the person that it's okay, you feel this way about me, I'm still a valuable person. So basically you can use this like lines. So for example, you can say that I don't want to talk about this topic, like I just don't want to go there at all. So like basically setting a strong set of boundaries around.
It's very important. You have to be confident enough and love yourself enough to set boundaries, not just with narcissists, but in life. It's what crosses a line for you. But that would be, I'm going to backtrack just a touch. That would be another piece of advice for people that are dealing with narcissists. The first things you can do is start setting those boundaries. If they don't respect those boundaries or they start trying to manipulate those boundaries and those types of things, you know that that person, then you need to leave. But you definitely have to have boundaries. And if you have boundaries right away with people, especially narcissists, as they're trying to feel you out and see what type of person you are, they won't bother with you. You will actually repel them away, where a lot of times they will move on to a different source of supply that they know they can manipulate. If they know that they can't manipulate you, they won't waste their time and effort on you. That's the best thing you can do to prevent getting involved with a narcissist.
Yes, amazing. I have taken so much notes already, and I hopefully it's going to be like useful for anyone. So before we are finishing this like quick call, I see that there are some people who are like still around. Does anyone have a question either to me or to Rustin that they would like to get answered before we finish? Anyone?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Any questions, guys? Give them a minute.
Yeah, or in any way, I'm going to like put this video on so anyone can rewatch it later in the future. And yeah, hopefully we all learned today something useful. And I encourage anyone to look into this like attachment style. And I think that you remember yesterday I was like sending you over this basically this like text on like this this emotional, how people they get addicted to the ups and downs, right? So
Yeah.
the ups and downs of this roller coaster, yeah. Because basically it's like a lifestyle. I would say dating with a narcissistic person, it's like a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's the trauma bonding.
Yeah.
It's the trauma bonding that happens after, and that's what keeps you hooked to a narcissist is the ups and downs. You just want them to love you again. You want them, and then when they do, you fall right back in. Then they start the abuse all over again, and it just is it's a roller coaster of emotions up and down. And you get addicted.
You are pining for their attention, you want their validation, and they keep rejecting you all over. So someone has asked that, how do you stay away? So how do you stay away from a narcissistic person?
How do you stay away? Well, like I said, is love yourself. When you love yourself and you set boundaries for for other people. So when a narcissist, if you come across a narcissist, you might initially not recognize that they're a narcissist. They're very good at tricking people and they're very good, but it could be a few weeks, maybe even a few months in. If you start seeing the little jabs of abuse and the little things pop up, you got to set those boundaries. If they don't respect those boundaries, you have to leave. That's the only way. I can't say you can totally avoid narcissists altogether just because they come across as very sweet. And you don't want to judge everybody that is actually sweet and caring and stuff as a narcissist because it's not the way it is. But you have to be able to recognize when those little red flags start to pop up. You got to set boundaries around them. It's necessary. Like it's there's no like option to it. You have to do it. It just shows that you love and respect yourself. At that point, they're either going to leave and leave you alone, or they're going to try to cross those boundaries and continue to abuse, and that's when then you got to leave. So either way, you win, but you're going to get out before it gets bad.
Yes, the longer you wait, the more you emotionally get attached to them. That's just not
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Rustin, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing us your experience. I know that you learned it in a hard way, and I know that basically it took you like basically a lot of like look into yourself, and basically I have seen you done the work. But look at now that you are able to basically help to anyone. And I think that like so many of us, like as you said, that overtly or covertly we are dealing with these people and we just haven't realized them. So I think that it took me like 2, 3, 4 months into that when I realized that, okay, this person has got some narcissistic tendencies. So me too, like even me that basically I'm passionate about this topic, but since I'm an empathetic person, like me too, it took me a long time to recognize that, because every single time I just like justify their behavior, that, you know, they are like had some serious childhood trauma, they are like busy, whatever, they are not doing it on purpose. But yeah, so basically I was just coming up from a bunch of excuses for them.
Yeah, so that actually brings up a point I do want to touch on. One thing about narcissists, and it's not always narcissists, but anyone, they play victim. Oh, their life's been so hard. My childhood, I got beat up, I got raped, I got this, I got that, and they're always focused on that. That's how they suck you in. They want you to feel sorry for them, like they've had such a hard go at life, and you know, you're kind of the knight in shining armor to come save them. Anyone that's playing victim like that and has not done their own healing, you stay away from. That's the best advice I can give there too. They play the victim so well. That's how that's how they suck in empaths, because we care. And we care about people's pain and the suffering and the traumas they've been through. They exploit it and use it to their own advantage. But that is one huge red flag, that when somebody starts to play the victim mode, and they're not doing anything to try to fix what's happened, their emotional traumas, and they're not, you know, seeking counseling or doing their own research or doing anything to try to fix it, they're not usually a healthy person to be dealing with. So that's another thing I can suggest for everybody to avoid narcissists if you start to get involved with one, is pay attention to the fact that they play the victim.
Exactly, and it's not your job to be a therapist, right? So they have to do this, like, yeah, this stuff.
Well, even if you were a therapist, most narcissists won't admit they have a problem and won't come to that realization. You can't help them. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. They don't know any other way of functioning, unfortunately. So only very few narcissists will actually go get counseling and actually try to get help for it. Very, very few. And most counselors won't even work with them because they're so difficult.
That's true. That is so true. Rustin, thank you so much for one more time. So how people can find you, how people can reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody wants to reach out in any form, even Instagram or anything like that, I'm happy to help.
Yes, I think I'm just gonna drop here your Instagram profile. So I mean your Instagram name so anyone can see that. So one more time, thank you so much. I was planning to do like a half an hour-ish, so we kind of like, yeah, we accomplished it. So thank you so much, Rustin, and I'm wishing you a
Yeah.
great weekend. And thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing us with your experience. I'm so glad you are here. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for
And I
having me.
made sure to keep it on the main feed so anyone can see.
Okay, thank you for having me, and everybody have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.